All right, we were going to talk about funk, weren't we? Funk guitar. Well, I'm in a bit of a funk. Bookmark of the channel just disappeared. Uh-oh, really? That's not good. All right. Anyway, let's get down to business. So we were going to talk about funk guitar. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about it, and we'll play a little bit, and then we'll do the quiz and chat. So funk is kind of cool stuff. I mean, just kind of thinking about this. Let me try and reorient myself here. I have some notes. So I was going to try and talk a little bit about this. Now, funk is a little bit different than some of the other things, right? So when we think of funk guitar, funk, yeah, says GMAC. I think of guys like Nile Rogers, Leo Nocentelli, and songs like "Play That Funky Music," and even before that, right? The guys like James Brown, and who else? The Meters, Funkadelic, Parliament, Sly, and all that kind of stuff. Now, what was different about the guitar playing? Well, the guitar playing in those sounds, I mean, a lot of those songs, the structures were basically, they were around vamps, right? And sometimes the vamps changed a little bit in character, but didn't a lot. So, for example, in Play That Funky Music, it's something like this. So there's a lot of, it's basically rhythmic. And changes are very often are of a minor third. So again, Play That Funky Music, it goes something like... and then the change went up to like this. So up a minor third. So there's a lot of sort of minor thirds. In the guitar playing, there's very often they're on dominant chords, almost always on dominant chords, and very often on more exotic dominant chords than, say, other things like boogaloo, right? So if you take a boogaloo like Tramp or Shotgun, it would be using a straight seventh chord usually. Stuff like that. So there's a lot of that, and you're right. I think funk. There's some similar sort of beats, but funk is a straight 4 beat as opposed to some of the other to like a bluesy. Usually funk is played over a straight 4 beat, although the guitarist will have to kind of fill in a lot of those things. Couple of other things. Usually people play them on unadorned guitars, so you're hearing a lot of clean sounds, particularly in the rhythm, and very often on a Strat or a Telly, because that's kind of a trebly sort of thing. You take out the mids on those. I've got mine set on the position 2 of the Strat, so I'm getting the kind of in between quack of that. All right, yeah, and there were some arch tops that people played them on, but again, usually they would take out the mid-range out of a lot of those. Maybe some P90s they'd use as well, but try and take out the mid-range out of a lot of those guitars. Anyway, a lot of times the rhythm would be of stab. It's kind of a stab nature and kind of clicking. And a lot of right hand, right? So you got to keep that rhythm kind of going. Stuff like that, right? Okay. And so anyway, here's just a few of those, and then we'll do one and we'll improvise on it. Oh, I didn't talk about this, but a lot of times if they had 2 guitars, one would be playing something like that, and another would be playing a single note thing. So there's a lot of single note types of things that are played in funk as well. Like probably the most famous one is this one. I'll see if I can get it. Yeah. Right, it's Le Freak, I think, isn't it, by Chic? One of my favorite ones that's kind of approaching funk, kind of early, is Sissy Strut. Yeah, and because it's sort of a dance music, also, there's a lot of times you'll hear like a funk song that just goes on and on over the same chord progression. Now, somebody's mentioning the Average White Band, one of my favorite bands of the '70s. I love their stuff. They did stuff that was a little more complicated, a lot of horn sections and stuff like that. But again, you know, even there, the guitar would just kind of play horn stabs and things like that. If it was a slower tune, they'd play that as well, or they'd play kind of like even horn stabs on that. All right. And yeah, and we even did one a couple weeks ago that was kind of funky, although it's a funky tune. There's a lot of funkiness in rock that was kind of borrowed over, and even though it may not be a funk tune proper, right? So something like this, right? Or I probably have the, let me see if I can put on a little bit of distortion. Ugh, I don't know about that. Let's try this. You know, that kind of stuff. All right. Yeah, and it continues to be influential. So I'm going to try and do this. Yeah, somebody mentioned Nuno Bettencourt. Oh man, Get the Funk Out. Gotta be one of the best guitar players or guitar songs ever. That solo is just unreal, ridiculous. And there's a lot of really good playing on it. Great. Okay, so, I did also want to talk just a little bit about the soloing too. The soloing in funk guitar is very often done around minor pentatonics, especially in the funkier funk. You know, the if you're going to do the Prince stuff, like the yeah. I forgot to mention there's wah in tons of funk as well, right? So Prince's Kiss has that, and as well as Papa's a Rolling Stone. All right, so I'm going to play a little funk thing. I'm going to try and play a little funk groove. And what we'll try and do is we'll try and play a little groove, and then I've got a looper here, and I'm going to see. I'm going to see if I can do this on my looper. Yeah, I think I can do that. Okay. Okay, let me undo that. So the loop that we're going to do is kind of like this. Let's see if I can get in the groove here. Yeah, that works. So I'm going to try and put this on the looper here and see if we can do it. I didn't like that one. Let me try it again. Try it again. Okay, so we got a little bit of a beat going here. Put in a bass line. Try and put in a bass line here. Try that again. I didn't like that bass line either. Okay, that's a little better. So you see, it's kind of just a simple thing that we're layering on. And we'll try one more thing on here now. I'll try putting on a better, length thing here. Okay, so we're going to solo using minor pentatonic. All right, well, you get the idea. You get the idea. And sorry, let me take off that distortion. And sometimes the solos are somewhat distorted. But and hopefully the sync wasn't too bad. The sync's going to vary a little bit by both of you guys. I just played around with it in the beginning to get it close. Hopefully it's still semi in sync. Yeah, so, and I keep bumping my elbow against the dang thing here, which puts you off. But one of the things in playing funk solos is that, you know, you got to try and keep them in time as much as you can. Time is the most important thing, and you see I messed up a couple of times on that. I didn't get the whole thing right in my looper there, but it was, you know, fairly close. But the you know, the thing, I probably should have started with the beat. Yeah, that would have maybe been a safer way of playing it. But in any event, you know, you find that when you're playing solos in funk, you can use minor pentatonic. It works great. And a lot of times you can emphasize but you know, kind of off notes, and coming back to strong notes on the main beat, right? So funk really emphasizes the first beat of the measure in a tremendous way. So as long as you kind of land on that, you're in good shape. But you also heard, I hope, that, you know, repeated sort of phrases work really well. You know, that kind of stuff. Hitting double notes really works, or double, triple notes. Anyway, try and keeping it funky. Try and keeping it there. All right. Well, anyway, gang, I think that's all I can take for today after this morning's, after that first debacle. I'm really upset about that still. And, you know, I'll have to listen back to this and hear how the mix turned out and all that, but so forth. Yeah, now Hammer Groovin's saying Dorian. Yes, you can use Dorian pretty well in that if you want to, as opposed to the minor pentatonic. Dorian's a good choice, a really good choice. So, for example, on this thing right here, I can use, let me try using Dorian instead. So Dorian does work pretty well, and you have some nice little phrasings like, you know, that kind of stuff you can do with the sixth, which is nice, which you don't have in the minor pentatonic. Something else that I didn't do, but that works really, really well, is to use chromatics. Chromatics really work well. So, you know, this kind of stuff, or, you know, that kind of stuff. Chromatics work really well, even to the point of being ridiculous. Like, you know, you can even get away with stuff like that if you play it in time, and get it. Yeah, it looks like everybody's sync is coming in and out. This is craziness. This never used to happen on YouTube. It never used to happen in these live streams, and now it's happening like crazy. It happened last time. It was out of sync for 15 minutes. Then we got it in, and now it's drifting. Yeah. Yeah, so as long as you land on the right note. So what are the right notes? So the right notes for this one that I was playing right here, let's do this. The right ones for this one, this was just really a vamp on, you can think of it in two different ways. You could think of it as a D minor vamp. You know, that kind of stuff. Or you can think of that as playing over a dominant G7 chord, right? Very, very highly related. You know, highly related. You know, very highly related chords. So chord tones, any chord tones on that D minor are going to sound good. You know, it's going to sound okay as long as you play it in time, like I said. There you go. So any of those chord tones on D minor are going to sound good. G7s on the middle of it are going to sound okay too. But you see that a lot of those notes can be thought of as a lot of those notes that we're playing on the vamp are right out of, as Hammer Groovin was saying before, they're right out of the Dorian, or they're right out of notes that you might play on a G7, right? Here's my D. D minor, I'm sorry. Here's my D minor. And here's my G7 kernel triad, right? All that stuff's going to sound fine. You know, you can even get away with lots of other stuff that sounds a little bit dissonant, as long as you come in and you keep it on time. All right. That's it for today. I got all screwed up by the beginning. My hands are shaking. I can barely play. All right. So, wanted to see him pull a rabbit out from his guitar case. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I should do that. I think probably all I could pull, I hate to say it, Ron, probably all I could probably do is pull a cockroach out of my guitar case. I hope not. All right. So, thank you. First of all, thank you, or at this point, thank you all for coming over and dealing with that ridiculous thing this morning or this afternoon. I really do appreciate you coming over. I'm going to put down my Strat for just a second. Actually, let's just see if we if there's any talk about who are some of the funky guitarists that you really like. I mean, I think we mentioned Nile Rogers, and Prince was really, he could play some funky stuff, and obviously Leo Nocentelli. Any ideas that you've got about funky guitar players that you really liked, or funky riffs? Yeah, Nuno Betancourt. He can really get the funk out, right? Rick James, yeah. Was Rick James a guitar player? I didn't know whether he was. But I mean, obviously Rick James played funky stuff. I think Sly was a guitar player, but I don't know. Eric Marshall. Oh, on the Macy Gray. Okay, and Chili Peppers. Yeah, Chili Peppers played funky stuff for sure. Yep. James Brown. James Brown's music for sure. You know, Hendrix on the what's the tour? The last thing that he put out when he was still alive. It's got Machine Gun. What's that called? And who knows? Power of what's that one? Oh, do. But the stuff they did with Billy Miles, Band of Gypsies. That was it. Band of Gypsies is pretty funky stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Another one, Bites the Dust. Yeah, Band of Gypsies. Thanks. It's interesting, Robbie and McDonald BR, I'm seeing this, you know, half a minute after I comment. So now I understand the delay. Did Ike get funky? I don't know. I don't think I remember that he did. I think he stayed in the old sort of R&B style. Changes, yeah. Changes. That's right. Yeah, Changes. Great. You mean from Band of Gypsies? Yeah. Good song. Good song. I want to do that lick. Anyway, while I'm here thanking you guys, I'm going to unload just a little bit. You know, starting a new job, trying to keep up with the channel, dealing with this kind of crap in terms of the technical YouTube changes, not you. I'm just really sick of dealing with the trolls. I don't even suffer them anymore. I don't even pretend that I don't see that they're trolling anymore. I'm just kind of removing them. So if I seem frustrated every once in a while, that's kind of got me down lately. I don't know why. A couple of stuff on the ZZ Top that I threw out yesterday, I was like, really? Come on. If you're gonna criticize, I can take criticism, but you know, do it in a constructive way. Don't be a dick about it. You know. Anyway, so that's fine. And what are trolls? Yeah. I don't know. When you're an old goat like me, you got to worry about trolls, right? Okay. That's a little story reference, right? Okay. So the internet's full of it. Shine on, yeah. Tower of Power. Yeah, I know. It's just, it's easy to say, just forget about it. Don't let it bother you. But, it does. Because you work really hard and you put something up and somebody doesn't say, hey, that was great. Here's what would be even better. Or something like, hey, you know what you could also do? It's just like, totally trolling you. Putting in some smart ass comment, not even really asking a question, just being a dick. All right. Oh well, there's so much cool stuff if people just can chill a little bit, All right. Hey, speaking of, yeah, they get off on conflict. I think that's what it is. Some people are just like so into the whole instigating others. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not really so bad, but it's like when you're really busting yourself to try and get stuff done, because you got a lot of other stuff going on in your life, and you're just kind of doing this. I mean, truth be told, between you, me, and the lamppost, I probably make, $300 a month on this channel. That's everything, all the 600 videos or whatever. That's about it. And from monetizing, and okay, so that's fine. That's nice little pocket change. I enjoy that. But, it's for the amount of time you put in, it's clearly not there. So it's got to be you're doing it because you like it and you like the community. And I do. I love this community. I love doing live streams. So, the trolls don't get me down too much, but they are what they are. Hey, speaking of, I want to get off the subject now. Speaking of this, you'll notice I've got my Rick Beato pet peeve tuner on. I'm never going to apologize for this again. I watched a Greg Koch, his guitar rig, setting up his guitar rig. He did the whole video, like 30-minute interview with a guitar tuner on the neck. So if you're going to give anybody shit about that, I'd like to see him give Greg Koch some stuff about that, because he's about as good of a player as there is. Oh, fake Latin phrase. What was the fake Latin phrase that I just illegitimately non-carborundum? Okay. All right. Anyway, I do appreciate all the love I get. It's kind of hippie stuff, but no, seriously, I appreciate all you guys being on here and keeping it a good vibed channel, even when things go wrong. So let's stay on the topic. I wanted to do a quiz today, and today's quiz is going to be about rock and rollers that passed a little bit too young. Okay? And yeah, I have a D'Addario tuner, although this is a snark. I just find the snark easier to see, so that's why I use that. Okay. So this quiz is about rock and rollers who died an untimely death. Died a little bit too young, or just in not a good way. All right? So let's go through it. Stevie Ray, good to see you. So let me take the time before we go into this, say hi to everybody. Fenderman, of course, hi to you. And Ron and David Smith, Ron Shack to David Smith. Matt was on earlier. I don't know if he's still on. Hello to you. McDon BR, Garrett, TBA, Hammer Groovin. Good to see you on. I think I've seen you on before once or twice, but welcome back. Nemo Unknown, Svardella, Julio, GMAC. Good to see you, of course. And all right, I think we're let's see, Andre Georgiev, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is, yes, it's an American Standard Strat, to answer your question. And sorry I didn't see it earlier. Okay, I think we've got most folks on BRP. I think I scared them off because the sync was maybe out. Okay. All right, so let's go. So TBA says, did I check the video link? You mean the Tom Jones singing Long Time Gone? Yeah, I did. It was a bit jarring. It was a bit jarring for me to hear somebody just belting it out in that old crooner sort of, or in that crooning sort of style when you've got all those other laid back dudes around him. But it was pretty fun. Howie Fernandez, hey, I really like your videos. I'm glad it's really helpful to you. Scooter, welcome. Okay, so thank you for all of that. Let's get to the quiz. These are rock and rollers who died an untimely death. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with question number 1. The rumor is that she died by choking on a ham sandwich. Rumor is, hey Embry, how are you? Good to see you. The rumor is she died choking on a ham sandwich. It is unfortunately a long list. You're right, Nemo. Mama Cass or Cass Elliott. That's right. Nemo Unknown. Astropop. Hello, Astropop. GMAC. Stevie Ray. Spardello Julio. TBA. GMAC. Scooter C. Garrett. McDon BR. Ron Shack. Janis Joplin. Not quite, but close. Okay. Here's the next question. He died in a helicopter crash in Wisconsin in 1990. Inaccurately, it was reported that Clapton died in the same crash. Blues guitarist extraordinaire. That's right, SRV. That's right, SRV. Robbie Love, Astropop, Geert, GMAC, Nemo Unknown, Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray, you better get that one. Spardello Julio, David Smith, Scooter, McDon BR. All right, next question. He died in a motorcycle accident in 1971. The band's next album was named after an interview response he gave. The band's next album was sort of dedicated to him by naming it after a response in an interview that he gave. Dwayne Allman, that's right, Astropop getting a lot of these. Garrett, GMAC, Nemo Unknown, McDon BR, Ron Shack, Scooter, David Smith. Everybody getting this one. Robbie Love, Eat a Peach, that's right, Eat a Peach. He had this really interesting comment about Eat a Peach. Basically, what are you doing to change to be part of the revolution? He said, I'm just a player, man. Players just play. I'm going to go to Georgia, eat a peach or something. Eat a peach for peace. I like that. It's good. Okay. Heroin and depression fueled suicide was the cause of this visionary grunge rocker's death. Astropop coming in. It's Kurt Cobain. That's right. 1994, Kurt Cobain committed suicide after doing heroin and some other stuff as well. Really depressed. That's right. Hi, New York Beaver, watching in Japan. Good to see you. Welcome. Welcome. What time is it over there for you? It must be early. Must be early on Monday. Okay, let's see. She died of a heroin overdose in 1970, just 16 days after another famous rock and roller's death. Astropop, man, coming through. Yeah, she's a part of the 27 Club, I think, as well. Astropop is right. Janis Joplin. David Smith says the 27 Club. GMAC says Joplin. Robbie Love. Garrett. Stevie Ray. Nemo Unknown. Ron Shack. TBA. McDon BR. New York Beaver. 2:12 a.m. Oh my goodness. Get some coffee or get a Sapporo or some or whiskey. Whatever works for you. I shouldn't use that stereotype thing. Okay. He was found in France by his girlfriend in the bathtub after a heart attack in 1971. Supposedly. Sake, yeah. That's right. Jim Morrison, GMAC gets it. Astropop, Robbie Love, Geert, McDon BR, Stevie Ray, Scooter C, Nemo Unknown. You know, it's interesting. I asked my wife a bunch of these questions. She got almost none of them. I mean, she got a few, but not too many of them. And you guys are getting them all of them. The Lizard King. That's right. The Lizard King. Okay. The official cause of death of this country rock artist in 1973 was an overdose of morphine and alcohol. He died near the Joshua Tree National Monument in 1973. I believe he was part of the Byrds for a while as well. But he did kind of the country rock fusion. Astropop, amazing, man. Graham Parsons. GMAC coming in. Scooter C, I think you meant Graham Parsons, but that's okay. He said Parker. There was also Graham Parker, right? But Graham Parsons was the guy who did it. Yep, Graham Parsons. One of my favorites. I love Graham Parsons' music. I think he's great, or was great. Okay. Here we go. And Geert confirms that he was a bird for a while in the Byrds. Holy shit. All right. Let's see. This is the superstar, or the rock superstar, early rock superstar, who died in a plane crash outside Clear Lake, Iowa in 1959, the day the music died. Yeah, Emmy Lou loved Graham Parsons. They sang great together. Buddy Holly, that's right. Buddy Holly, the day the music died, Buddy Holly. Okay. He was the superstar. Now, Graham Parsons also did Love Hurts. I think he wrote that song. Different version than Nazareth, but also very good. Okay. Who are the other two people who died in that plane crash? Who are the other two lesser known stars that died in that plane crash of Buddy Holly in 1959? Everly's did Love Hurts. Okay. Big Bopper and Richie Valens. That's right. Big Bopper and Richie Valens. La Bamba. And what's the other one? With a wiggle in her walk and a giggle in her talk. That's What I Like. Big Bopper. Okay. Here's something I didn't know, but I did I found out on the research. What person who later became a country singer and pretty big star gave up a seat on that plane? He had a seat on that plane, but he gave it up. Chantilly Lace, that's right. So which person who went on to be a country star didn't get on that plane but had it? That's right, Waylon Jennings. I had no idea. I did not know that. Okay, let's keep going on this one. Well, while we're on plane crashes, a 1977 plane crash killing multiple members of the band was kind of a famous one in rock and roll. Which band in 1977 killed multiple members of the same band? I see Nemo Unknown. Waylon also recorded at the same Norman Petty Studios. All right, lots of people coming in on this one. Leonard Skinner. Yeah, 1977 plane crash killed Leonard Skinner. A couple of people in there. Okay, what was the name of the frontman for that band who died in that crash? What was the name of the frontman for that band who died in the crash? Ooh. A few people get, yeah, Ronnie Van Zant. Ronnie Van Zant was the front man who died in the crash. And then there were two, so Astropop's getting it, David Smith gets it, Scooter Ski, McDon BR, Astropop, Nemo Unknown, Stevie Ray. A lot of people getting that one. Okay, there were two other people who died in that crash who were band members. Can you name them? Marvin Gardens. Leonard. Oh, Leonard. Hey, Marvin Gardens. Yeah, that's right. Steve Gaines was their fairly recent guitarist. He was a phenomenon. He was a phenomenal player, good singer, really a really good musician. His sister also died. Cassie Gaines also died in that plane crash. And who were the two guitarists who survived that crash and then later went on to form their own band? Who were the two guitarists who survived that crash and went on to form their own band? I'm going to keep trying to look and see if the sync is on. I'm going to keep trying to look and see if the sync is on. It's a little bit off. It looks like it's drifted for me too. Oh. Let me see if I can fix that just briefly. I'll try and alter this. And we'll see if that makes a little bit of a difference. Might make it a little bit worse. Oops. And we'll see if that makes a little bit of a difference. Maybe a little bit better. Okay. So, but still a little tiny bit off. Okay. Rossington Collins. Yeah, a lot of people getting it. A lot of people getting Gary Rossington and Collins. Okay. Was it not Albert Collins? Is that his name, Albert Collins? I can't remember. Ed Collins? I don't know. Ed King was not on that one. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on from that one. Okay. Rumor has it that he choked on his own vomit after overdosing. See you, Nemo. Hey, Max. Good to see you. Hendrix. That's right. Jimi Hendrix. Rumor has it that he died choking on his own vomit. He died of asphyxiation, I think, was the official thing. Okay, this this person died choking on someone else's vomit. They don't know who because you can't dust for vomit. This followed John Stumpy Peep's death in a bizarre gardening accident. If you don't know the reference, at least give the movie that it's from. That's right. Spinal Tap drummer. Spinal Tap's drummer. He didn't choke. He choked on vomit. He choked on somebody else's vomit. They don't know who. You can't dust for vomit. All right. They had this whole thing about the exploding drummers, and the previous one died in a bizarre gardening accident. One guy died and it just left this little green globule on his thing. Spontaneously combusted, yeah. Okay, now this is actually made, this was actually done based on two real events. And there's two drummers that died. One of them, that were right before the movie, two famous drummers. So one of them overdosed on clomethazone, which was a drug that was used to combat alcohol withdrawal. This drummer, who famously used to take off all his clothes unexpectedly, was found with like 30 or 40 of these in his system. Keith Moon, that's right. Keith Moon. So McDon BR, G Mac, Robbie Love, Stevie Ray. A lot of people getting that one. Okay. A lot of people getting that one. Nice. Okay. And let's see. The second was an English drummer or a British drummer of a famous group Equally famous, maybe more famous group, he died after a heavy bout of drinking in 1980. They had to cancel their tour. They later toured with his son. Same band later toured with his son. That's right, Garrett. John Bonham and G-Max, Stevie Ray, John Bonham, Astropop getting it, Ron Shack, McDon BR, Scooter. A lot of people getting Bonham. Not as many people got Keith Moon. Keith Moon was one of my faves. I loved his playing, but Pete Townsend said by the end he was kind of erratic anyway on who's next. They didn't, or on who's who are you. They didn't know who would show up. Half the time he showed up to the studio, he couldn't get the job done. So it's kind of bad. All right. This ex-Rolling Stone drowned in his pool in 1969, shortly after leaving the group. Oh, they did a one-off tour. Is that right, Robbie? Okay. Anyway, this ex-Rolling Stone died in 1969, drowned in his own pool shortly after leaving the group. Yeah, Robbie Love, Garrett, G-Mac, McDon BR, Astropop, Stevie Ray, David Smith gets Brian Jones. Nice. Okay. This accomplished, here's a tough one, an interesting one. This accomplished drummer and singer died of an eating disorder. This accomplished drummer and singer died of an eating disorder after a long battle with it. That's right, Garrett. Karen Carpenter. That's right. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's about dying badly. Karen Carpenter, David Smith, TBA, Garrett. All right, Stevie Ray. A few people getting that one. Okay, let's do a couple more, and let's end on a good note. So this person died in a 1982 plane crash. The last thing he said to his band leader about his heavy drinking and alcohol use was, "You're going to kill yourself, one of these days." That was his last thing that he said to his band leader. He used to play a polka dot guitar. Oh, I see. Yeah, Levon Helm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Randy Rhoads. That's right. Randy Rhoads. And plus, I think wasn't the pilot doing a bunch of really stupid stuff like buzzing their van and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. He told Ozzy, apparently the last thing he told Ozzy was, "You're going to kill yourself with all that heavy drinking and drugs." And then he dies in a plane crash. Isn't that tragic? It really is. Okay, just a couple more. A car crash took this glam rocker's life in 1977. A car crash took this glam rocker's life in 1977. Yeah, he wasn't far off, David. It's sort of a waste of life. Yeah, Mark Bolan is the answer to that one. 1977, died in a plane crash, or in a car crash. Sorry about that. Eddie Cochran also died in a plane crash, right? 1960. He was only 21. Eddie Cochran was 21 when he died in a car crash in 1960. Super sad. Sam W. says, who died in 1996 and body was found with 12th amount of blood it should have didn't die from it, though. I have no idea. You can let us know, though. Okay. Couple of real sad ones, and then we'll end with a couple of on high notes. So this person died from a gunman on December 8th, 1980. This giant of music, when he was 40 years old, after just starting over in his career. That's right. Everybody gets John Lennon. That's right. Garrett and G Mac and Stevie Ray and Scooter and Astropop and Ron and there you go. And that's right. Somebody pointed out. David Smith pointed out John Denver died in a plane crash. That's right. He did. He did. All right. This metal rocker, not my style, but this metal rocker died when a deranged fan rushed the stage and shot him multiple times with a Beretta in 2004. Astropop says Dimebag. That's right. Dimebag. McDon BR says Dimebag. Dimebag Daryl. I don't like that style of play. I'm not a fan of it, but he could really play, and nobody deserves to die like that. It's not good. Really not cool. This rock player should have died 40 years ago, but okay. So, last two questions. All right. This rocker died the rocker's dream death. He died in room 658 at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Paradise, Nevada, after having gone to bed with a local stripper who found him dead the next morning. He was the Who's bassist. He was the Who's bassist. That's right. John Entwistle, the Ox. The Ox died on in bed with a hooker in Las Vegas in a casino. If that's not a rocker's death, I don't know what is. All right, and despite last one that we'll talk about, despite rumors to the contrary, this person has survived alcohol, drugs, electrocution, and the most leathery skin known to man. This rocker has still survived. Who is he? He lives on. Keith. Oh, come on. You got to spell it right. Oh, there we go. We got a couple of them. So Garrett said Keith. Scooter said Keith. But McDon BR said Keith. As did Stevie Ray. All right. Sam W. Awesome. No problem. No problem, G-Mac. We're there. Yeah, there's just obviously the interesting thing is, I mean, you could probably fill up 5 or 6 quizzes with this. Somebody said Paul Kossoff. Absolutely. You know, drug overdoses killed a ton of people for that. Amy Winehouse was another one, right? Fairly recent. Fairly recent. And TBA is saying Glenn Miller. Well, Glenn Miller wasn't really a rocker. I don't know. I wouldn't say he was. But Jim Croce wasn't a rocker either, but he was in the pop music scene in the early 70s. He died in a plane crash. Phil Lynott, yes, of Thin Lizzy, died after a very long and sad battle with heroin. George Michael, that's right. Dude, I don't know what he died of. Didn't he he had a heart attack, right? Plenty of people who had heart attacks. I mean, you know, the guys in the Grateful Dead, a lot of them died pretty tough ones. Randy California, yep. John Frusciante's recovery. Well, he's still alive though, yeah, which is good. A lot of guys died of that stuff. Prince, right? Prince died of that synthetic stuff that he shouldn't have been on from his doctor prescriptions. Nick Drake, yeah. Patsy Cline, wow, didn't think of that one. Not really a rock star, but pop star, right? For sure, Patsy Cline, yep. Hey, Mud. Oh, that's right, Chris Cornell. Forgot about that. That was fairly recent, right? That was just recent. Bowie died of cancer fairly recently. There's a few people who died untimely from cancer. Now, Bowie was 69, but wasn't Mick Ronson? He died of cancer a long time ago. I think he died like in the 80s or something. Robert Johnson, yeah, if you want to go back to the blues guys, died of probably alcohol. Billie Holiday, long heroin addiction. Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of those jazz players from the 50s, the bebop players, they followed in the line of, you know, Charlie Parker and So many of them had heroin problems. Stevie Ray kicked all that stuff, and kicked his alcoholism and stuff like that, just getting back on track, and then he dies in the helicopter. Barry Oakley, so I don't know who that is. Oh, yeah, somebody mentioning Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye got shot, right? Um, what's interesting about that is, Marvin Gaye was one of the people who was well known for these message songs in the early '70s, right? So sort of like what's going on, and the ecology song and stuff like that, and inner city blues, which is pretty. There's some pretty anti-gun stuff in that. But he actually bought the gun that he gave to his. I think it was his father who shot him. Really sad story. Really sad story. Oh yeah, Geert mentions Pete Ham. Oh, talk about sad stories. That's so a downer. They were in debt, and he didn't see a way out. He had a girlfriend. I think she was either pregnant or just had given birth to their son or their child, and he committed suicide. He hanged himself in their garage studio. Real bad one. Def Leppard's drummer. I don't think he died. I think he lost like an arm or something like that, or a leg. But he still used to play with a little pneumatic thing in his mouth. Don't be a keyboard player in the Dead. Yeah, that's right. The Blind Melon guy died. The singer. I don't know his name. Didn't somebody in Metallica also die, like in some bus accident? Maybe you guys would know that. I don't know Metallica well enough to know. I can't remember his name, but I vaguely remember that in the '80s. Let's see. Prince turned into his weird sister. I don't know what that means. Skinnerd, yeah, we mentioned Skinnerd earlier. Lenny Bro, yeah, again, I would say he was more of a jazz player, but yeah. Bob Marley. Bob Marley died of like cancer pretty young. Yep. Brad Delp. Tim Harden. I don't know who Tim Harden is. Or Brad Delp. I don't know those two. Yeah, Badfinger's manager really screwed him over. As did Queen's manager. That the song Death on Two Legs is supposedly about their manager. Yeah, it is depressing, Mud. Well, I think, so I heard somebody. Oh, speaking of which, so here's somebody else who recently died, but he lived a pretty good life and so forth. Well, I say recently, but maybe in 2005 was George Harrison, and I saw an interview of him on Dick Cavett, and when people were asked about it, why do so many people get addicted and die of drug overdoses, and he's sad, and he had some really good things to say about it. I think. In some ways, understanding, but life affirming and all that. Brad Delphia's Boston. Oh, the Boston vocalist. Well, that was quite a bit later, though, wasn't it? Okay. Tim Harden was a folk singer. Okay. Thanks. George died in 2001. Okay. Can barely play sober. Yeah. Well, I think, honestly, a friend of mine said that he thought Keith Richards was the greatest guitar player ever. And when I said why, he said because he figured out how he can be totally wasted on stage and still sound good. So he tunes everything in like that, Nashville tuning or open G without the sixth string. And all you need is one or two fingers to play everything. Oh, is that right? George and your dad, same day, 16 years apart. Okay. My dad died on the same day as the Battle of New Orleans. No, didn't die. He died on Easter Sunday. He was born on the same day as the Battle of New Orleans. Long time ago. 1983, my dad died. Long time. Been a long time. Okay. Dick Cavett is really down on George for that interview. Really? It was ridiculous. Why would Dick Cavett care about that? I thought it was a good. I mean, he asked him some tough questions, and George answered, I think, very honestly. And what else was he supposed to say? I thought it was really great responses. Yeah. Anyway, Fenderman, sorry about that. Sorry to hear that news. Keith used a telly, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. GMAC says don't be a dick, Cavett. All right. Yeah, George does really seem like he was a sweet person and down to earth, despite the fact of like, what would it have been like to be the Beatles or an ex-Beatle in 1970, right, or 72? I mean, you're like the biggest thing ever. It must be really hard to think of. Yeah. Towns Van Zandt. Yeah. Yeah. All right. The Quiet Beatle. Well, there are still some guys that are still around and still doing it. I think, look, I mean, rock and roll is getting older and older, so nobody's mentioning Elvis, who died on the throne, but I think that's a rumor, but I don't know if it's one of those true rumors. But yeah. So let's get off the topic of all this morbid stuff, because there's still some people around doing it. I mean, if anybody has still seen Bruce Springsteen recently, he's still doing it and he's still rocking it. He still sounds good. And I'll tell you something. I think one of the best performances I ever saw, she died a couple years ago, but one of the best performances ever has got to be Aretha's performance at the Lincoln Center when she hobbles up. The body could barely still stand. And you're thinking, oh my God, am I going to see something that's just a shadow of her former self? And instead, it's like The Lion in Winter, and she gives a performance that just brought the house down. Just amazing. Awesome. If you haven't seen that, you should look for it. Aretha Franklin, I think it's a tribute to Carole King. It's just an amazing, amazing performance. Hard to top that. All right. Oh, I mentioned Elvis earlier. Yeah, a couple of people are talking about how they think George is an underrated guitarist. We'll have to talk about underrated guitarists coming up. We'll use that as a topic, but we've done that before. She did... the song that she did was "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," and it's pretty amazing. Yeah, totally amazing, totally amazing. But on a different topic, people are talking about George. For those of you who know me, I'm a huge admirer of George's playing, and particularly thinking about what it was that he would play and the note choices, and his rhythm work is astoundingly good. Just always picking really interesting things to play. Mark Zabel is an underrated guitarist. Oh, please, I'm an internet hack. Yeah. And oh yeah, and Geert, I mean, mentioning that McCartney is just amazing live. He still has it too. He still puts a lot of energy into his shows. I remember when I saw him not too long ago on Saturday Night Live. Now it's probably 10 years ago. But you know how Saturday Night Live has all these kind of lame acts. They don't always do a great job. Although I saw the Alabama Shakes. They were good. Really good. But McCartney was on there, and he did a bunch of the old songs. He did Jet, and I can't remember some of the other ones. Maybe Helen Wheels. And they just rocked it. I mean, it was really good. Hall & Oates was still good. That is great to know. Now, somebody told me that they were going to see Billy Gibbons last night. I don't know if they're on today, but wow, it'd be awesome to know how that person did. George's melody gets no respect. Well, it doesn't get the respect that it should. But think about this. People talk about influential guitar players. They'll mention Clapton and Hendrix, and of course they are influential. But George was probably more influential than anybody. And he was just an incredible player. Jeff Beck in a league of his own. There's a few people I think are in a league of their own. Jeff Beck has continued to get better, right? I wonder if Hendrix would have continued to do his own thing and get better and be innovative through. One wonders. I mean, at the time he was just totally mind blowing, way before anything that Beck did anything mind blowing. But Yeah, Beck was really awesome. I love Jeff Beck. Nobody. Well, there's a lot of people who copy Jeff Beck now, right? Mike Caswell, who died in the pool a while back, was an incredible player. Sounded amazingly just like Jeff Beck when he wanted to, but a good player in his own right. So, yeah, yeah. Rory was a good player. Robin Trower sounded like Hendrix, but it took him a while, and I don't know. To me, Robin Trower is not in the same league. I love Robin Trower. It just doesn't have the same spark to me. But he's a great player. Oh, we didn't mention Danny Gatton. That's right. Another guy who committed suicide. Unreal as a player. Bridge of Sighs. Good Trower stuff. Beck is the WS says Beck is the greatest guitarist that nobody listens to. I listen to Beck. I listen to the ones that everybody listens to. I listen to Wired and I listen to Blow by Blow and occasionally some other stuff. Roy Buchanan, yeah, also died young. All these guys, I think it's just it's a hard life being on the road all the time. I think guys like Danny Gatton are often very underappreciated and trying to make ends meet. But I mean, Danny Gatton also never wanted to leave Washington D.C. area, and I think that probably hurt him. Just like Wes Montgomery, his career was held for a long time because he didn't want to leave Indianapolis, and then he finally becomes a superstar. But you can't burn the candle at. It's not just both ends; it's all ends, and both ends in the middle like that for a long time. You just can't do it. Charlie Christian. Nobody mentioned Charlie Christian. He was 23 when he died. 23, and he was able to totally change guitar. Totally change it. So, anyway, James Dewar. I don't know James Dewar. I like his whiskey, his scotch. Okay, Derek and the Dominoes. All the guys from Derek and the Dominoes are dead. I don't know. Sorry I brought him up. I always dug him. No, that's okay. That's all right. It's all right, Ron. It's okay to bring up Robin. It's cool. It's cool. I think he's an awesome player. He's a great player. And Bridge of Sighs, I have that album. Listen to that often. I want to do a couple of his actually, but it's hard to do. It's hard to get that sound. All right. Carlos Santana. Yeah, so Max Josephson says Carlos Santana. So what about Carlos Santana? Is he underrated? Is he overrated? I think he's a bit underrated, personally. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful player. One of the best ever, in my opinion. One thing about Santana, every note he plays, he knows what it sounds like before he plays it. Guaranteed. He can solfege for sure. I guarantee he can do it. He probably can't scat like George Benson can, but maybe if he tried, he could. Just so good. Just so good. Yeah, great player. John Martin. Yep. Yeah, he uses Dorian a lot, but yeah, and harmonic minor notes and stuff like that. Yeah. Don BR. John Martin's dead. Oh, come on, guys. Needs to use his tone control. I don't know. I wouldn't go busting on Carlos for his tone. He's got legendary tone. Legendary. People hey, anybody who gives one performance like Soul Sacrifice at Woodstock, forget it, man. That band performance is so tight, and they're all together, and it's tight and loose at the same time. They're all together. Dynamics of it are so cool. In the palm of his hand. Elvis is still dead. Stills is in rough shape. Is that right, Fenderman 73? Stephen Stills in rough shape. I didn't know that. Zappa, yep. Robbie's going to see Carlos tonight. No kidding. That's cool. Still can't play Black Magic Woman. Well, that's kind of cool too, but that's a Peter Green song. So everybody knows that, right? Peter Green's Black Magic Woman. Carlos took that one. Different interpretation. And cool one too. I like Peter Green's though too. John Lord. Is John Lord dead? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, but I haven't followed. If he would leave that extra drummer at home. Well, my daughter hates it when I put on Santana because there's no words, right? So it's like, oh, really? I'm going to have to listen to this? She likes bluegrass stuff, but not that one. Yeah, she doesn't complain. She's not a complainer. I like Santana's early tone. I do too. I like the early tone that he had. I agree. Now it's not as much special. It's not as special. I think the same thing happened to so many guys on their tone, Fender man. I think like one guy that I loved, obviously related person, the guitarist who played with Santana and then later played with Journey, Neil Schon. He had great, interesting tone in the late 70s, mid to late 70s with Journey and then others. And I saw him at concert a while back, and I thought his tone, like in the 2000s, was just like everybody else all of a sudden. It just sounded not so good. Do I like Johnny Marr? I do like Johnny Marr. I don't know enough about the Smiths playing and Modest Mouse and some of the other stuff he's done. I wish that I would. I should listen to him more. I like his play a lot. Fenderman 73. He is 99% deaf. I think that's the problem. Is Carlos 99% deaf? I wouldn't doubt it, man. All those guys, they played way too loud. Marvin Garden says Clarence White. Yes, Clarence White. He was part of the Byrds, right? But more importantly, in bluegrass, he was a guy who was, along with Doc Watson, was really changing everything. And Tony Rice ended up with his Martin, I believe, and used to play his Martin for a while. Definitely kind of picked up that style. But really, if you play bluegrass, he had that drive in his play that very few people have, and was very influential, even though he was only for a short time. Clarence. Yeah, Clarence, what was his last name? Clarence Clemens. He died a while back. Marr plays beautiful stuff. Yeah, I like a lot what I've heard. And he's not, I like how he doesn't play like all fiery things. I'm wondering, I wonder who he's influenced by. I bet Harrison was a big influence on him. But also, like, he plays maybe some guys like Cornell Dupree and things like that might have been influential to Johnny Marr. I don't know. Does anybody know? Nils. Clarence Clemens, yeah. Clarence died young? I didn't know that. I thought he was, died young, but I thought he was like in his 50s. Yeah. I mean, 50s is young. I don't want to, I don't want to die today. But 50s is young, yeah. Yeah. One of the keyboard players. It wasn't Roy Bittan, was it? Or Roy Bittan, or whatever, how you pronounce his name. That's young, yeah. Yeah, I think, Ron, unfortunately for a rocker, it's not that young to die in your 50s. For a lot of people who are rockers, they die even younger than that. So, sad as it is. Hey, look, gang, it's like 2 o'clock, and we're back on talking about death. I'm going to go experience some life, and I think I'm going to bid you farewell today. Thank you all for staying with this whole mix-up with the YouTube stuff. I'm gonna try and nail this. frankly, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe they just changed it again. Hopefully, they'll get back on track and not do any more changing, and I can do this and test it and all the rest of that. Okay, thank you all so much. RMG, thank you. TBA, Max, Ron. I love you too, Ron. Geert, we'll keep playing. We'll keep playing. Yeah, and I'll probably have to trim a lot of the beginning part of this one. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great work week. We'll see you probably Thursday with another video, and then Friday again. I'm sorry, and then next Sunday again with a live stream. Okay? We'll see you all later. See ya, Oscar. See ya, GMAC, RMG. Look like a mentor to me. Oh, RMG. Uh-oh. I look like a mentor. RMG, are you a colleague of mine that I don't know who you are? Like your tutor. Okay. Anyway, got it. Okay. Got it. Well, maybe we can talk about it offline someday. All right. Thanks again for staying with your Sunday, joining me on the Sunday, and we'll see you on down the road.